So the US government have threatened military intervention against Nigeria, and a lot of people are rejoicing. I see people tagging Donald Trump on every single video that surfaced online, like Donald Trump, seeing the people that are doing this, Donald Trump, this, Donald Trump, that. I mean, what I'm about to say in this video is going to offend some people. And if this video offends you, then you are meant to be offended. But before I continue, let's watch this video.
Would you walk us through the Boko Haram offensive?
Boko Haram offensive, our initial aim was not Boko Haram per se, but it was to rescue the Chibok girls. They were the girls that had been kidnapped, and where the Western response was #SaveTheGirls. That type of nonsense does not save girls. Unfortunately, these girls became victims of a situation where the security had broken down in a specific area. They were kidnapped, and that was the first mission, rescue the Chibok girls. We then did a selection process of the Nigerian soldiers. Soldiers were retained after the election process, were then trained in a very specific way to conduct a hostage rescue operation. And that requires a very specific type of person. However, approximately 5 or 6 weeks into the training of the hostage rescue team, we were asked to change our mission. And that mission was to go to a town called Maiduguri in northeast Nigeria that had come under severe threat of Boko Haram. We then rapidly had to transition what we were doing and suddenly train a very offensive force with a minimum of equipment, but we were never allowed to execute the entire operation. So in 1 month, we took back terrain larger than Belgium from Boko Haram. We were not allowed to finish because it came at a time when governments were in the process of changing. I think President Jonathan's government possibly saw the entire Boko Haram contract, if we call it that, almost as a last gasp in order to regain popularity. The incoming president, President Buhari, was heavily supported by a foreign government, and one of the first missions was to terminate our contract.
Could you name that foreign government?
Yes, we were told it was the United States, and they had actually funded President Buhari's campaign. The campaign manager for President Buhari came from the US, and I'm not saying that the United States is bad. I understand foreign interests, but I would have thought that a threat such as Boko Haram on the integrity of the state of Nigeria ought to be actually a priority. It wasn't.
Why do you think the US would intervene to abort such operation?
Again, I can't answer that. I think that the US can answer, but what I've come to realize, that is when a government's foreign interests clash with the state's own domestic interests, conflict is bound to ensue. And those conflicts usually just continue with no end. And we can look at all the conflicts in Africa where foreign forces have come in, they've prolonged those conflicts, they haven't ended those conflicts. And the amount of money and manpower and equipment thrown at those conflicts says to me that something is wrong if no end result is achieved. And surely that end result should be to end the conflict and establish a basis for negotiations, come to an agreement, and then re-establish governance. But that's not what's happening in Africa.
Let me just say parenthetically, I tried for 3 years to get the Clinton administration to designate Boko Haram as an FTO, of the Obama administration, as a foreign terrorist organization. I held hearing after hearing, and they wouldn't do it. On the day I was marking up my legislation to do this, just that, State Department said, oh, we're going to designate them an FTO. And after all the crimes they were committing, later it was the Chibok girls, it was all the other atrocities being committed by Boko Haram, and they wouldn't even give them the FTO status so we could start investigating where they get their money, their weapons, and the like. In December of 2020, President Trump designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern, only to be reversed without justification by Secretary Blinken in November of 2021.
Who gets some of that money? Does that name ring a bell to anybody in the room? Because your money, $697 million annually, plus the shipments of cash funds madrasas, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, ISIS Khorasan, terrorist training camps. That's what it's funding.
So this is Scott Perry, who's a US congressman, openly accusing his own government of funding Boko Haram. First of all, do I admit that there's a problem in Nigeria? Yes, we have plenty, a lot of it. We have insurgency problems. We have the Boko Haram killing the Christians. And mind you, the labeling that this is only Christians that are being killed is false, because The Boko Haram, I believe they've killed more Muslims than Christians. Correct me if I'm wrong. I completely agree that something needs to be done. Something needed to be done like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and so on and so forth. The US government have sent aids a lot of time to Nigeria. Like you can see the video we've watched. But none of them proved to be aborted. It's always like there's always an ulterior motive. Question you would ask, the question I would like to ask is, how is Boko Haram funded? How is it that Boko Haram has been in existence for over 15 years? Like every single time you see Boko Haram, they use A-grade weapons. Like you see them driving like recent vehicles, armored tanks, armored cars. Like they have like, you know, a lot of weaponry. And how are they funded? Where do these people get their money? I saw a video of a former defense minister that, you know, was talking about 120 Boko Haram members that have been captured, and all of them had US dollars. Like all of them had foreign currency. And he was asking, like, how do these people that have been relegated in the remote areas of the northern part of the country able to have this much foreign currency, this much US dollar bills, right? But these questions are not being asked, right? And you are rejoicing that the United States is the country, is the people, is your savior. I'm not saying we do not need help, right? But we do not need foreign help. We do not need America to come and fight. We do not need American military boots in Nigeria. We do not need that in the Nigerian soil, right? Our problems can be solved by us. Yes, there's been a lot of lingering problems. There's been, you can argue with me that a lot of our efforts, a lot of the efforts of the Nigerian military have not worked. But so is also some of the efforts of the US military, because they've been here before during the time of the Chibok girls, right? America does not go to any country and leave that country positive. Check the countries that have needed American aids. Check how they were before and how they are after America is gone, is done with them. Go and check Iraq before and after America, right? Go and check Afghanistan before and after American intervention. Go and check Libya before and after American intervention, right? Vietnam, and so on and so forth, right? And when America comes, they've come. So I saw a tweet this morning from I think a US congressman saying that the United States should build their military base in Port Harcourt, in the Niger Delta, in the oil capital of Nigeria. Military intervention from the United States of America has the response that we need? No, because once the US builds a base in Nigeria in the name of intervention, it is never going to end well with us. Go and check history. Besides, just in June of this month, this year, just in June, I saw a news that Nigeria sent almost 200 military personnel to Gambia for peacekeeping. Like, wasn't it this year? It was in June. About 197 military personnel were sent by Nigerian troops, you know, to the Gambia, right? I also saw a news that Nigeria was going to Ukraine to help or something like this. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? We have enough people, enough military power, enough army. Like, go and check the Nigerian military ammunition. We can save ourselves if we want to. And even if America comes here, right, the government, the bad leaders, the bad eggs in power, they will still convert it to personal gains. Go and check the data. There are more killings in the USA than in Nigeria every single year. Right? There's a lot of mass shooting, a lot of murder, a lot of people die in the USA more than people die in Nigeria. But USA would never ever allow any military action, you know, to be taking place in the US soil, right? USA would never allow, because they know the impact of, you know, such military action. in a country, we don't have a problem that we cannot solve. We can solve our problem. Look at what happened during the NSAS, right? You called America all you want. Like, I even saw some celebrities calling Beyonce, help us, Rihanna, help us. Like, when people, carry placards and write NSAS, it's like the world has heard you. No! Hashtags have never helped anybody. Hashtags do not help people. Calling on the foreign government to come to your aid is not going to help you. The earlier you realize that, the better, because this is looking like the colonial mentality has messed us up deep, badly. Right? It's just like having in your house, just imagine your family, your house, and every single time you have problems or fight or quarrels inside your family, you need external help. What would that say about that particular family? Do you think the United States coming to Nigeria is going to, what image would it leave on you? Say, for instance, you want to travel, you want to, you're doing business out there or something. Some of you have businesses in China, in many places, right? Seeing that, what image do you think the United States coming, to build a base in Nigeria is going to project to the world? Is it going to lift Nigeria up or bring Nigeria down? Ask yourself that question before you call Donald Trump that has just finished helping his own country to come and help your country.